I think it all kind of got started because we're pretty big car guys. You know, we like sports cars and stuff like that. And Zach and I were roommates this past year at college. We just graduated actually this month, beginning of this month. And we always had this like crazy idea, oh, we should both get cool cars and do cool stuff with cool cars, right? And we're thinking there's got to be some way to celebrate our graduation. And I think it was definitely Zach's idea, the first person to come up with it. He's like, Tristan, what if we both bought these cars, a Mazda Miata, it's a little convertible thing. He said, what if we both bought Miatas and drove across country with all our buddies, you know? And I mean, long story short, we did it. Zach bought his first. He sort of lucked into a deal, and Zach actually found mine for me too. We went to school, college in Ohio, but Zach's from Pennsylvania. He saw it online back home, and we drove out on a Friday. Him and I did.
7 hours.
7 hours, yeah. Picked up the car, bought it that morning, Saturday morning, and drove it back 500 miles back. This is a stick-shift car. I had never driven stick before in my life, except after we bought the car, 500 miles back to college.
20 minutes in a parking lot and then back on the road.
Yep, it was crazy. It was crazy. So we came back, and then we both had the cars. Now we just need to put the trip together. So we've been talking, the four of us, and there's a fifth guy here, had been talking a while about what all we wanted to do on the trip and everything, places we wanted to go. And there's so much beautiful stuff to see in this country. You know, I mean, it sounds like you're from Utah, I'm sure you can tell. But you live here, you know. This is crazy. We're from the Midwest, it's not as pretty. And all the stuff that we wanted to see too, and like different people that we knew in different places that we could either stay with or we wanted to visit and stuff like that. We visited a friend of his from high school in Southern California. We visited a family of mine in Northern California. We're visiting a friend from college in Denver when we go back east. And, bunch of cool stuff like that. So all five of us sort of pulled together. Everything that we wanted to do. There was a sixth guy too, but he ended up sort of last second not being able to make the trip. But
pulled it together. Also, another funny detail is 2 weeks before the trip, both of these cars broke down and had to get towed, and we were like, we might have to figure something out. Yeah. We have other cars, but they're not as fun. They're not convertibles. Yeah. Cool and all that. They're not. These aren't that cool, but they're cheap, and they're like go-karts. Absolute street legal go-kart. There you go, right on the shirt.
Yeah, I mean they were broken. I couldn't even drive mine. I could barely drive it down the street to the shop from where our school was.
And my clutch was gone, so there was nothing. So we quick to fix that.
2 weeks later, we're going up Pike Speed.
2 weeks later, we're going up Pike Speed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. And it has been quite the adventure. We have been dumped on, soaked through, rain pooling in the bottom of our tent.
Standing water in the tent. We're not, I don't know if you can tell, we're not big campers. This guy's a little bigger camper than the rest of us, but we're making do. It's a good time.
In Death Valley, of all places, we were there 3 days ago. The place gets like 2 inches of rainfall a year, and it stormed on us in Death Valley. We were literally sleeping in puddles.
Oh, you guys were.
Yeah,
I was fine.
He was trying.
I was just fine.
Yeah. So that was crazy. But so we left from Illinois. So I'm from Illinois. He's from Illinois. He's from Indiana. He's from Pennsylvania. Another guy's from Ohio. And they all met the rest of us at his house in Illinois. And we drove 15 hours across Kansas through the
night.
Through the night. We got to Colorado Springs like 6 in the morning and went straight to the Garden of the Gods and saw everything to see there. Well, not everything. You can't do it justice. Saw a bunch of stuff around Colorado Springs. And even driving through Kansas, like, admittedly, being from the Midwest, I kind of written off the Midwest as being not so beautiful, And by driving through Kansas, when the sun came up, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and just like out there with all these farms and stuff, and there's nobody else on the road but our 2 convertibles and this little Honda, And it was really beautiful. We got to Colorado and like the Rockies, just gorgeous, snow-capped mountains. And we drove up Pikes Peak, and the view all the way up gets better and better. And then you get to the top, and the summit's amazing, and you drive down. And that was crazy. I'd never done any sort of mountain driving in a car like this.
You learn how to engine brake pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
That's your brakes to the test.
Yeah, coming down.
From there, we went to Mesa Verde, Colorado, which was quite beautiful.
Underrated.
Underrated for sure.
Underrated road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and there 2 days at the Grand Canyon after that, which is
Two cold nights at the
two
Grand Canyon.
cold nights for sure. Definitely
26
overwhelming.
degrees.
You've never seen it before.
Yeah.
For a bunch of Midwestern boys, we're used to corn and all that stuff. I mean, he's from a beautiful place in Pennsylvania, but Grand Canyon's pretty overwhelming. After that, a stop far western Arizona,
Middle of nowhere.
middle of nowhere.
Campsite.
We stayed with this retired firefighter who was renting out extra spaces on her property. She was super friendly. I'm sure she had a lot more cool stories to tell than we could fit in, but she pointed us to some like Native American carvings on her property. That was super cool. After that, we went to Santa Barbara because we were going to visit a high school friend of his in Pasadena who let us know like the day before. He didn't realize that we were trying to spend the night at his house. So we visited him in Pasadena, and Pasadena's beautiful. Having these convertibles every step of the way, like especially in like Southern California where it's warm, palm trees overhead, it's awesome. But we visited our friend in Pasadena and drove through to Santa Barbara where we camped in Los Padres, and then drove up the Pacific Coast Highway to San Francisco. We were there
Gorgeous.
a night, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful drive up the coast.
Yeah. The cliffs up on one side and down on the other, and just the ocean for miles. I mean, literally as far as you could see the ocean. With the top down, it was awesome. After that, 2 nights at Yosemite, one of which we also got
We got dumped
dogged.
And
Far
it
more
hailed.
than Death Valley. Yeah, hailed on. It was crazy. We actually ended up finding a hotel that night because we
Well,
would have been
you
in the
guys
swimming
did.
pool. Yeah,
I stayed in Miami. I stayed dry. It's great. It's
Yeah.
great.
But yeah, running around at like 11 o'clock at night. Oh, also this car's headlights broke on the way out here. So we were driving around 11 o'clock at night trying to find a hotel. Broken,
headlights.
no headlights, in the middle of nowhere. This little town, Groveland, California, 1,500 people. We must have went to like 4 or 5 hotels trying to find something. We eventually did get worked out. And after that, Death Valley, where we also got rained on. And then here we are in Zion. We just hiked Angel's
we went to
Land.
Vegas too.
Oh, we also
Oh, yeah,
went to
went to
Vegas.
Vegas,
We also went to Vegas. Yeah, so we spent a night in Vegas, and that was cool. It's nice to break up the hiking stuff with city stuff, you know, and see all the lights
In
and
a
stuff. We
hotel,
had nice hotel. Showers were welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's
that was
a wild place. We come from some simple lives, maybe on a little more on the conservative side, and that's a wild place down there.
for sure.
In Vegas.
For sure.
Good times.
After that, here we are, and we did
Yeah.
Angel's Landing this
Yeah.
morning. We
Just finished.
Got us right as we got back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish you could have met our other guy. He's hilarious, and he's also 6'6".
Did he already leave?
I don't know where he is.
He's probably hiking somewhere in
hiking
the canyon.
somewhere.
He's a little
Yeah.
scared of heights, so Angel's Landing wasn't for him. But
Yeah, but
he's hilarious in these little cars, I'll tell you that.
His head sticks
eyes
over the
stick out
top.
over the top.